So, good morning once again and welcome. Good morning if you're in this very room. Good morning if you're with us on the internet, or good afternoon or good evening if you're watching in another time zone or watching later. So glad you're all here today. There's a lot going on, to say the least. So my topic for this morning is, what is my topic for this morning? My topic for this morning is more community, more to share. So I'm so glad you're here with us as community as we talk about this. So think about the concept and the word community. Community being common unities. And so because you can find absolutely anything you want to on the internet, and a few things that you probably didn't want to find, when looking on meanings and explanations for the two words, community is a social unit where members share a common network. The word community comes from the Latin word communitas, which means the same. And then unity is a celebration of individuality and the unique gifts of each person. It's the creation of a voice that speaks to harmony and fellowship. The word unity comes from the Latin word unitas, which means one. So the original idea of community, meaning common unities, people with a common purpose, common values, and living in unity. So the unity being in having to do with what we have in common, that most of us live in the La Mesa or San Diego area, that we are of one mind in the teaching of religious science or New Thought or unity or divine science or whichever branch of New Thought you're part of. Unity being of kindness and compassion and of purpose. So we have all of that in common. To me, a lot of the richness has to do with our differences. And when we get together, I love to talk about what's your religious and spiritual background? What area of the world are you from? What are your experiences that brought you to this particular moment, and what's going on in your life, and what's next for you this afternoon, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? Because to me, all of that adds to the richness of this experience that we call community. Again, hanging out with people who are similar or like us, but also the opportunity to talk with and to get to know people who are different from us. So 2.5 weeks, and it's going to be Thanksgiving. Anybody besides me can't quite believe that here we are on the 10th of November. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. Somebody said as you get older, the time goes by faster. I choose to know that the reason the time goes by faster is because time goes by faster. That's all we need to say, right? That's all we need to say. Yeah, thank you. Yes, me too. So at this time, there is the opportunity to offer gratitude for what we have in common as well as our differences. We have amazing people in our lives. I have amazing people in my life who bring me, all of you included in that statement, bringing me joy and wonder and excitement and absolute lusciousness in my life. And I'm sure, and I know you do as well. Family and friends and just a variety of people in the community and in the world that make a difference in your life. We also have the opportunity to offer gratitude for the people who bring us blessings in disguise. So those dear ones who might not look like us, walk like us, talk like us, act like us, think like us, believe like us, love like us, but they bring us the blessing as well, because like it or not, they are part of our community. So that's what we're talking about this morning. We don't use the word blessing very often in New Thought, but so I am always curious about what I believe about that, and there's a great explanation about that. You might remember this because I've quoted it before, but it's from How to Love and Be Loved by Jack and Cornelia Addington. And in the book they write, what do I have here? I'm sorry. There's something. Dog hair, probably. Sorry. To bless a thing is to fill it with life. Life is expansion, and the thing will expand and progress. To bless it is to enfold it warmly in your thought and feeling and consciously desire its fullest and most beautiful expression. To bless it is to send forth a power which is of God and therefore omnipotent. To bless is to take an inward stance in relation to something. It is to speak the word of good and then to stand silently while the currents of life flow through the patterns of your thought. To bless is to release the hidden life in everything. So really quickly about the word blessing, the church that I was part of before I found Ohm, we were meeting in Mission Valley and we needed to sublet our space. And so we advertised, and I had several ministers, mostly from traditional Christian churches, come and look at the space. And when we were all done, they said, "God bless you." And I looked around and said, "Well, I didn't sneeze." Because that's the only time I ever use that expression. But I love this explanation because there's amazing richness there. So when we say God bless you, we are inviting that love and that passion and that possibility into your life. So when someone blesses us from this explanation, note that life is expansion, and the thing, being me, will expand and progress. Think about the wonderful people who may not look like blessings, who allow us, encourage us, challenge us, require us to expand and progress. Course in Miracles reminds us that everyone and everything leans toward us to bless us. Every person, every experience, every thought. So often we want to run in the other direction. Say, "Bless you too," and run down the street. But what if there was an opportunity to see that member of our community really does lean toward us to bless us? Often, excuse me, often the blessing or the gift is yet another, and I don't know about you, you might not do that, but for me, yet another opportunity to find out why I'm so upset about whatever it is this person is doing. And very often it has to do with the fact that they broke one of King Jerry's rules. Because I have rules about how it should, one of my favorite words, how it should be and how you should act and all of those things. And what I have found over time is that not everyone has those rules. Life, I am convinced, has an amazing sense of humor, and some of you have heard me talk about this before. One of my rules has to do with being on time. If you were not on time this morning, please know that there's no judgment here. I'm not speaking to you. This is a general statement about being on time. Because my father always said, you got to be on time and you got to be 20 minutes early. So go sit in the parking lot and listen to the radio, back when we had this conversation, when there were radios, and just sit and listen and be quiet, because what does it mean if you're late? You're immature, disrespectful, you don't value their time, etc., etc., etc. So I had a life altering, harrowing experience in the snow in the mid 90s in Philadelphia, where I was late to my very first client visit and almost wound up in the hospital because I was so upset. And my client said, it's snowing. Don't worry about it. Not everyone, I have found, has that rule. My late husband, Jerry, did not have that rule. My beloved Oliver really does not have that rule. And when he's late, I start to go down the road of, you don't love me, you don't value my job, you don't respect me, you don't value my time, blah, 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 blah. And the still small voice gets a word in edgewise, finally, and says, the reason that he's not there at 10 o'clock is because he's not there at 10 o'clock. That's all we need to say. But that's a blessing every time. And so as many of you know, I work with homeless 18 to 24-year-olds. And I fill in from time to time and take a group of them in a company vehicle someplace. Let me tell you that these young people do not have this rule. None whatsoever. And so the first time for the love of God, we said we were leaving at 10 o'clock. What's going on here? And the still small voice said, you'll be all right. People are in our community bring us, in love and compassion, reminders for us to look at, does this rule really make sense? And glad we got that out of the way. Yeah. But even more than that, why am I so upset about this, and what's my story? So what's all the bylines that I'm attaching to this? What does this mean? It means that they're late. That's all it means. Not that they don't love us, not that they don't respect us, all the rest of that. But there's these wonderful gifts that members of our community bring. Don't look like gifts, don't look like blessings, but they really are, because they give us the opportunity to look again and see if these rules make sense to us or not. Because again, Course in Miracles reminds us, everyone and everything leans toward us to bless us, whether it's a blessing in disguise or not. So in community, we have the opportunity to share our abundance, which is what we're talking about this month. But I would suggest that that's much more than just money. So it is time, talent, and treasure. So many years ago, so my late husband was from Kentucky, and so we would go there to his family for Thanksgiving, and he had family in Michigan, and they flew in for Thanksgiving as well. And so there's about 12 of us at Cheddar's restaurant in London, Kentucky. I was going to make a snarky remark. No, I love them. I love them. No, not about the family, but about the cities in Kentucky, but I'm not. So we're at Cheddar's in London, Kentucky, and everybody, so there's 12 of us, and everybody's on their phone. Very quiet, everybody's on their phone. And his cousin from Michigan, who I love and adore, finally said, and paraphrasing, we have spent money to fly in to be together, and here we are, all of us on our phones. Okay. You mean to tell me that I could even turn it off? You could. I don't. I just put it on vibrate or stun, but because I need to know what's going on. I need to know. But do we? But that's a whole separate conversation. One of the gifts that we bring to community and community brings to us is our time and our our undivided attention. So I work downtown in this housing program, and we have about 70 youth in that there, and about 75 right next door in La Mesa that I'll talk about after a while. But I love it so I'm in the room with the case managers and the peer support people, and the youth come in and want to talk about this or that or the other thing. And to me, it's so important, if you come up to me and need a few minutes, close the laptop, put the phone down, because I'd like to talk with you. And to do that, sharing that time, that means undivided attention. Now, if I'm in the middle of something or I can't talk with you right now, give me 15 minutes or whatever, and that's certainly okay. But so much of the gift has to do with our being there for other people and our undivided attention. Because think about the gift of our time that we give to other people. We could give them money, because there's always more money. There's always more money. There's money coming, there's always more money. But there's not more time. So this is the most amazing gift we can give to people, I believe, is that undivided attention and spending time with them. So time, our talent. And included in the talent category or bucket, I would suggest that our wisdom about life and about how do you handle this and what do you do when this happens and what was your experience with this. And oh, by the way, people in our community who have the opportunity to share that with us as well. Because I've never done this, whatever this is, before. I don't know what to do. But someone in my community probably has been through that and does know how to do that and can offer that talent, but that wisdom and those ideas for me to think about. And then our treasure. I meant to see if I could find this. So Designing Women, at the risk of dating myself, Designing Women, one of our favorite sitcoms from the 80s. And one of the episodes, if you've not watched it, it's based in Atlanta. It's 4 women that have this design firm, and they go through just a variety of things. One has a pet pig. Very, very well-to-do and has a pet pig, and they just go through a variety of things. But one of the episodes that aired this last week, the one wasn't getting child support payments on time, and so was struggling with money, and wound up taking a second job at a burger restaurant. And so the other 3 women find out by accident that she's working at, I think it was Bob's Burgers. And Julia Sugarbaker, who was, come on, Jerry, it'll come to me, says, I don't understand why people don't ask for financial help. They ask for time, but you can't get more time. If you give time, that's gone. But there's always more money. So why don't we allow ourselves to ask when there's a financial need? So time, talent, and treasure, including our wisdom, including our resources, including our ideas. Sharing ideas gives us the opportunity to learn about one another and from one another, to celebrate your journey, recognizing that it could be and probably is very different from mine. It invites, encourages, and even challenges me, speaking only for myself, to get out of the bubble. Because I'm a white guy and an older white guy. And my experience, I've never been through this. I've never had this. I have no concept of this. But as I take the opportunity to visit with you and learn from you, I get to learn that life does not look just like Baltimore Drive in La Mesa. That's one of the reasons I love to travel so much, is because I get into my just little, well, isn't everywhere like this? Doesn't every place look like this? It doesn't. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's so different. So seeing that richness of the larger community. That's one of the reasons I love working with these young people, because these are youth who aged out of foster care and turned 18 and had no place to go, or came out to the family as LGBTQ and were kicked out of the family, or were living in an abusive situation, physical, emotional, sexual, somehow, and had to leave that situation, had no place to go. Devastating, yes. That was not my experience at all. My parents lived in the house where we grew up in Escondido for 65 years. 55 years. They were married for 65 years. So stability and always knowing that I was okay and I would be okay. I was never rejected. So that was not my experience. But in community, we learned that not everybody's life looks like what ours look like. And how wonderful that is, because just in case you need something else to be grateful for, wow, my life has been pretty amazing. Our lives have been pretty amazing. Not everybody looks like us, walks like us, believes like us, talks like us, loves like us. But I would suggest that everybody, every person, everywhere, regardless of race, creed, color, political affiliation, national origin, just wants to love and be loved, have enough, and feel safe. At the end of the day, that's what everybody wants, is to love and be loved, to be safe, and to feel like they have enough. That's all everybody wants, so we have that common experience. Now, because you don't always follow my rules, and because you come from a different background, and because it's a little bit of a different experience, very often there is the opportunity for forgiveness. My life would be so much easier if you just do what I want you to do. Haven't you found that? Don't you have people in your life? If you would just listen to me, if you would just do this, your life would be so much easier, and of course mine would be as well, because we wouldn't have to be having this conversation. Alas, they do not. My life would be so much easier if I would do what I thought what I should have done, there's that favorite word again, at the time, rather than doing what I did. So always an opportunity for forgiveness for ourselves and others. Again, why does this bother me? So I would suggest, if you've been in this teaching for more than 3 months or so, whether you have a certificate on the wall or not, you are a practitioner, because you can talk the talk. You have the basics of what we believe and why we believe it. And one of the things we do in community is share with one another, listen with one another, and believe for one another. This great little book that I found years and years ago, Handled with Prayer by Alan Cohen. If you have somebody who just is really interested in the teaching but would like more information but is not ready for Ernest Holmes or Thomas Troward or one of those, would like a book in English, in a book that they can understand, this is an absolutely wonderful book. And Alan Cohen talks about, or writes, I should say, about may I, and the name of the chapter is May I Believe for You. And he writes, accepting supportive belief is one of the most crucial, dynamic, and practical elements to put you over the threshold of your dreams. It's also the easiest. If you put this law into, action, you will be astounded at the results and wonder why everyone does not do this all the time. It is the very essence of grace. If you have doubts about your ability to manifest what you want, allow someone with more faith in that area to believe for you. Accepting prayer support requires humility, faith, and willingness. The humility that by yourself you do not feel strong enough to accomplish what you want. The faith to believe that someone else can help you, and the willingness to have your dream come true. So maybe money is fine with me. I'm good. I've got an abundance consciousness. It's no thing, but I've got a situation with health. And someone comes to me and says, I'm having these health challenges. Can you help me? I could say, I could, but there's somebody else in our community that has a better, not a better, but a different or a more complete belief having to do with perfect health. So that's the richness we bring in community, is to be able to talk to one another. And if I need help with this, our ministers and practitioners and larger community can help us resolve whatever it is and believe for us. To me, that's so much of the richness of this experience of community, is believing for one another. Sometimes we just need somebody to talk to offer a different point of view, or what I have found is very often as I'm verbalizing whatever it is, I get the idea of what I need to do. So I've resolved it myself, but I just needed to verbalize it to somebody. Have you had that experience? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, what if okay, never mind. And the still small voice somehow is able to get a word in edgewise and tell us what we need to know. But it has to do with that richness and that lusciousness and that experience of community. Because, again, the world doesn't look like La Mesa. The world looks like the world. I'll be in Kentucky in 3 weeks for Thanksgiving. And I so look forward to that because I love them. They are so wonderful. It's my connection to my late husband. Go and do it. It's great. See wonderful friends in Knoxville. Come home, get off the plane, and kiss the ground because I'm going to San Diego and not Cleveland. With all due respect to Kentucky, because I love them, and to Cleveland. But it's just life. Life is different, and it's so important that we recognize that. So in this experience of unity, we recognize that we are one, but not the same. And isn't it great? Isn't it great that we come with all of these experiences from our spiritual or religious past, from our recovery past, from our family past, from all of these things, because we can share our experience with someone else that is just so incredibly valuable. Okay. So, as you might remember, we had an election on Tuesday. And I don't have any Halloween candy left because there was a small bowl on the dining room table and I used it for medicinal purposes. And that's okay. So, in no way is there any judgment attached to what I'm saying other than there is a lot of anger, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of fear. And so often we hear about what's going to happen, that they could, that they might, that there is the possibility of. And what I know is there's the potential for us to spend the next 4 years and 3 months holding on for dear life, or allow ourselves to breathe. Because remember, in Job did not have a happy situation in the Old Testament and had a few situations. And he said, for the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. Because it's done unto us as we believe. So if we focus on what we don't want, there it is. So what do we do? It's important to feel what we feel. It's important to recognize the anger, the fear, the hurt, the whatever it is you feel, but also recognize, and this is my very most favorite quote from Louise Hay, I am safe. It's only change. So that's why we come together as community, to be reminded that we are safe. It's only change. Please, please reach out to either another member, another friend, a practitioner, a minister, anyone you need. If there's anything going on, if you're losing sleep, if you've gone through the Halloween candy and you've gone on to the next bag, whatever's going on, please know that we as a community are here to support you, because we are safe. It's only change. So with that in mind, join me in the light for just a minute. So releasing thoughts of earlier today, thoughts of later today or tomorrow, we just allow ourselves to be in the lusciousness of this present moment, in the recognition of our oneness with the God presence, with one another, and with all of life. And we come together in gratitude today for this beloved spiritual community, for the opportunity to be together, whether physically in person or on the internet, to be together with one mind in unity of unconditional love and compassion and possibility. We give thanks for this experience, and moving forward, we recognize that we are safe. It's only change. And that at any point we can reach out to be reminded of the truth of our being, and that is that we are the essence, expression, and experience of Spirit. That's it. We give thanks today and remember and honor and celebrate our veterans. This weekend, tomorrow, as you know, tomorrow is Veterans Day, and we honor the women, the men, and the animals who served in our armed forces. We are so grateful for all of them, for their passion, for their dedication. We give thanks for this beloved spiritual community and the opportunity to be together. We know that all is well. We give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Robin.